But with this heat, believe you me, I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
Well, we start with the news where the National Assembly has approved the Affordable Housing Bill 2023. The bill was passed with amendments including regularization of the funds already collected prior to the creation of the new law and will be required to be transmitted to the Housing Fund. However, a section of opposition legislators stormed out of the chambers and vowed to go to the court to block the new law. Giverson Minor begins our bulletin this morning.
National Assembly Bill number 75 for 2023 be now read a third time. Will as many other opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many other opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it.
After a fiery debate in the National Assembly Wednesday evening, majority members of Parliament voted to approve the Affordable Housing Bill of 2023. The bill that seeks to create legal foundation and structure for the collection of the housing levy as ruled by the court, however, attracted amendments from both sides of the political divide. They include the provision to regularize the already collected housing levy.
This bill is about employment creation. It is about wealth creation. It's about helping Kenyans to access affordable homes, creating new home owners, and therefore generating new wealth in our country and helping to grow our economy.
Other amendments that received the green light are provision to allow voluntary contributions, creation of an independent body to be mandated in administration of the levy, and sharing of the levy by various implementers of the program, including county governments and the National Housing Corporation.
Yeah, this provides a list of agencies that will be used for implementing the affordable housing programs, which are the county governments, the National Housing Corporation, the Kenya Slum Upgrading Program.
Proposal to have the levy deducted from the net or basic salary was opposed.
We cannot be equal in terms of deductions. So I want to propose that that particular proposal amendment should not stand, but rather we go to the original that we base on the gross, because that cuts across in an equal manner. Thank you.
However, a section of opposition MPs stormed out of the chambers and promised to seek legal redress over the new law.
Walking out is the right thing to do. Let us meet elsewhere. First, maybe courts. Two, I think Kenyans may go back to where we came from. Now, any Kenyan, whether you are a farmer or you sell clothes, mutumba, or whatever you do, the government has the right to calculate 1.5% of your gross earnings, not net. Gross earnings, and deduct that as housing levy.
The bill is expected to be transmitted to the Senate to seek concurrence before the President signs it into law.
Thank you, Giverson Minor. Chaos marred county assembly sittings in Kisii and Laikipia counties. In Kisii County, fracas erupted following the tabling of a motion seeking to impeach the Deputy Governor, Robert Monda. In Laikipia County Assembly, the House sittings turned into a battleground as ward representatives exchanged blows over changes by the minority side on the membership to the House Business Committee tasked with scheduling House business. Abdiaziz Hashim with the details.
In a characteristic fashion synonymous with some county assemblies, MCAs in Kisii and Laikipia counties engaged in a war of words that quickly degenerated to blows. Proceedings in Laikipia County Assembly were disrupted as MCAs heckled the Speaker. Speaker Lantano Nambala had a hard time informing the House, so Sian Ward MCA Lokoipen Paraleto had been dropped and replaced with Mukudogo West MCA Nicholas Lempaira as the minority whip. In the ensuing commotion, a water bottle was hurled at the Speaker, forcing the sergeant-at-arms to whisk him out of the chambers as orderlies circled the maze. The Speaker hurriedly left the building before he returned moments later.
Yamefanyika yametushtua sisi kwamba we have an assembly that does not follow law. Hata kutoa leader of minority tunahitaji sheria.
Kuna interest ambayo speaker ako nayo, na ni kwa sababu I'm one of the vocal members kwa nyumba. Because I speak for the minority. Now you want to silence the house, alete watu ambayo wanacheza mchezo yake.
Also in Kisii County Assembly, this was the situation. MCAs locked horns following the tabling of a motion to oust the Deputy Governor Robert Monda. 51 out of the 69 MCAs had signed the motion. Monda is accused of abuse of office and violating the Constitution. He is alleged to have received a bribe of 799,000 Kenya shillings from Dennis Mokaya to help him secure a job at Gusii Water and Sewerage Company.
The County Assembly now resolves to remove His Excellency Dr. Robert Monda from office of the County Deputy Governor of Kisii.
But there were no specific charges or particulars of the allegations that were actually tabled with that motion. And we were very curious to actually establish what is this the Deputy Governor is being charged of.
The whole thing is dead on arrival. We want to urge the Kisii people, the Kisii County people, to remain united and know that the Deputy Governor is at peace.
Now, let's move on, where President William Ruto has warned members of the executive against succumbing to pressure to engage in corrupt dealings, while pledging support for cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries in delivering on their mandate. The head of state warned that he would not condone plunder of public resources, even as it was resolved to minimize red tape to enhance service delivery. The president was speaking as the curtains closed on a 4-day retreat of members of the executive in Naivasha, Nakuru County. JJ Kuria with the details.
The 4-day retreat closed following deliberations by the executive on the achievements by the Kenya Kwanza administration in the last 1 year, as well as the misses.
As much as we have done well, we can do a lot more. There is a lot of room for us to do better than we have done.
The members of the National Executive, individually and collectively, recognize their historic opportunity to fundamentally change Kenya for the better, noting that indeed, as stated by His Excellency the President during his inaugural State of the Nation address, Kenya is no longer on your marks, but is indeed prepared and ready to go.
In closing the meeting, President William Ruto cautioned the executive that they would be held accountable for decisions they make in their line of duty as a means of enhancing integrity in government transactions.
There is no room or space or opportunity for this administration not to deal with corruption firmly, decisively, and conclusively. As you heard in the meeting we had with the legislators and all the other groups, every principal secretary, every cabinet secretary is responsible for the decisions they make.
While promising to back them as they deliver their mandate, Ruto warned them against succumbing to pressure from influence peddlers to engage in corruption or subvert procedures.
Each and every one of you have my telephone number, and it's only one. I don't have two. And I believe every principal secretary and every cabinet secretary has my telephone number. In the event that you are in a place where you have been threatened by anybody, or if anybody comes to you and says, the president has said this, or I am a cousin, or a brother, or a relative of the president, and I want this or the other, please don't believe them.
To deliver on the mandate of the Kenya Kwanza administration, he urged them to step forward and embrace collective responsibility.
Anything from any one of you, I will call you myself. And I can confirm to you it will not be about any transaction. It will be about your performance. Our success is going to be the collective success of each and every one of us. Do not allow your colleague to fail. Do not undermine your colleague, because if your colleague fails, in it is your failure.
The President's Strategy and Execution Office, led by Chief of Strategy Execution Aden Mohammed, has been tasked with coordinating quick action decisions as the government moves to cut bureaucratic red tapes, derailing projects funded by Kenya's development partners. At the closure of the 3 days cabinet retreat in Naivasha, President William Ruto challenged members of the executive to embrace servant leadership in delivering the plan. The president delivering yet another stern warning to government officials that he will not entertain corrupt practices in government transactions.
Thank you, JJ, for that report. Now, world marathon record holder Kelvin Kiptum died due to severe head injuries during the accident in Kaptagat, Elgeyo Marakwet. This was revealed following an autopsy report by Chief Government Pathologist Dr. Johansen Odwor, which showed that the late athlete suffered severe injuries and fractures.
The post-mortem report of the late world marathon record holder, Kelvin Kiptum, was made public on Wednesday. Government pathologist Dr. Johansen Odwor, who carried out the autopsy at Eldoret Hospital morgue, said he died owing to accident-related injuries. Odwor said the examination of the body revealed that Kiptum suffered severe injuries and fractures to his head.
The late Kelvin had severe head injuries. There were severe skull fractures, which were mainly at the base of the skull. The spinal cord had intruded into the cranial cavity because of the fractures.
He said the fractures were on the skull and ribs, which also damaged his lungs.
There are also what is called contusions on the lungs, meaning that there were also injuries to the lungs. So what actually killed the late Kelvin was severe head injuries, which when I look at them, they look more of something which was caused by a motor vehicle accident.
The post-mortem was done in the presence of Kiptum's father, Samson Cheriot, and a team of homicide officers from the DCI headquarters.
Kama familia, tumeridhika na the process of post-mortem. I have witnessed the whole process.
The late Kiptum is expected to be laid to rest this Friday. President William Ruto is expected to attend his funeral.
Let's look at business now, where Kenya has settled part of the $2 billion Eurobond issued Eurobond issued in 2014, I beg your pardon, ahead of the maturity date on June 24th this year. President William Ruto says the settlement worth $1.5 billion was done with the proceeds from the bond buyback, evading a possible repayment default, which was stalking Kenya. Well, there were growing concerns that Kenya was likely to join Ethiopia and Ghana in failing to honor its international debt obligations.
Anxiety has been developing in Kenya's financial system as the first payment of the $2 billion Eurobond approaches. However, President William Ruto has moved to calm the markets.
We chose to take $1.5 billion because that is the amount that we need at the moment to plug in and to reduce the exposure that we have as a country.
Speaking during a cabinet retreat in Naivasha, President Ruto has said the government opted to repay the $1.5 billion 4 months before maturity to bolster investors' confidence with the Kenyan economy. Last year, the government appointed Citi and Standard Banks as lead managers to oversee the redemption of the 2014 Eurobond, even as fears of a default were growing. President Ruto says the repayment represents the country's public debt management strategy that seeks to ensure the economy maintains a low-cost and sustainable debt stock.
It is necessary for us to inform the country where we stand today, especially after the anxiety of the last 1 year, where many in the international community were worried about Kenya's position and Kenya's financial ability to manage our situation, including our debt situation.
Additionally, the head of state noted that the government is committed to maintaining its presence in international financial markets through refinancing the existing commercial maturities and mobilizing resources for budget support.
It is our commitment that we are going to be prudent in any borrowing that we engage in as a government, and our overall strategy is to reduce our debt stock, enhance our local revenue raising measures.
And delays in passing the Cooperative Societies Bill of 2023 is risking the investments of millions of Kenyans. The Cooperative Alliance of Kenya Chief Executive Daniel Marubu says the bill will enhance supervision of both the deposit-taking and non-deposit-taking SACCOs, thereby widening the net of compliance and shielding members' savings.
In 2019, the SACCO Societies Regulatory Authority reported that out of the 5,000 SACCOs registered in Kenya, only 175 are under the supervision of the authority. This has left thousands of the savings and credit societies at the mercy of fraudsters, leading to losses of savings. Currently, SASRA regulates only deposit-taking SACCOs, while non-deposit-taking SACCOs fall under the supervision of Commissioner for Cooperatives in the Ministry of Trade and Cooperatives.
The manner in which cooperatives are registered and how they are being managed is because we wanted to eliminate pyramids. We wanted to eliminate the people who appear to be like cooperatives, and yet they are Shylocks in the name of a cooperative.
In 2020, SACCO's regulator, the SACCO Societies Regulatory Authority, expanded to start supervising SACCOs with non-withdrawable deposits of at least 100 million shillings. However, the Cooperative Alliance of Kenya says that gaps in the law have caused unregistered and unknown non-registered SACCOs to target unsuspecting members.
We will be able to clean anybody calling themselves a SACCO or a cooperative must be identified, must be given a number. We will be able to know. So we will be able to save Kenyans from a lot of these Shylocks calling themselves SACCOs by the enactment of that bill.
The Cooperative Alliance of Kenya Chief Executive Daniel Marubu says the Cooperative Societies Bill will further remedy glaring loopholes and bring good governance, ensuring savings and building trust in the sector. The bill also seeks to establish the Office of the Commissioner for Cooperative Development at the national level of government and the Office of the County Director for Cooperatives in the 47 counties.
We look at sports now, where Kenyan pugilists are optimistic they will qualify for this year's Olympic Games in Paris, France, when they travel for the qualifiers set for February the 29th to 12th of March in Italy. Meanwhile, Athletics Kenya, the AK, has scheduled the African Games trials to be held on the 5th to the 6th of March at the Nyayo National Stadium.
According to the national team head coach Musa Benjamin, the team has been training since last month ahead of the Olympic qualifiers set for February 29th to March 12th in Busto Arsizio in Italy.
The defense yetu imekuwa haijakuwa nzuri. We score, but also our scores zinakuwa cancelled upesi, manake defensively hatujakuwa strong, so mara nyingi sasa hivi tuna work on defense kando na scoring. Defense ni muhimu sana, na ndio kitu tunaangalia movement, turns, getting out of your line ya fire.
Musa revealed there are no injury concerns as his squad steps up training high in the Olympic slot.
Tunaomba watupatie tu support, tunajituma venye tunaweza, so hiyo support pia ni muhimu. Tunajikaza ile tuweze kupata hiyo slot ya kwenda Paris.
Mazoezi yajakuwa mabaya, ni kung'ang'ana kwa sababu katika kila michezo Olympics ndio inakuwa the highest. So kwa kila mchezaji aim yake inakuwa ni Olympics. Kama mimi naweza sema yes nishaenda Olympics, but sijasikia ile utamu ya Olympics kwa sababu huo ulikuwa ule wakati wa corona. Kwa hivyo mambo ilikuwa ni 50-50.
Coach ametupe skills zile tunahitaji kulingana na hizo games zingine tumekuwa.
Najua tuko mahali papoa kuliko previous qualifiers. Najua God to help na tunaenda qualify.
Meanwhile, Athletics Kenya has scheduled the African Games trials to be held on March 5th and 6th at the Nyayo National Stadium. The National Athletics governing body also set new dates for the National Cross Country Championship to be held on 2nd March at the Kenya Prisons Gardens in Giriru, Kiambu County. The two events were put off last week in honor of world marathon record holder Kevin Kiptum, who died in a car crash alongside his coach Gavis Akizimana.
That story by Dan Mwendwa brings us to the end of the bulletin this morning. Thank you so much for your company. Good Morning Kenya will continue just after this break. My name is Marie Yambo.